Everyone, today we have Isaiah's parable of the vineyard. I will sing for my beloved my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones. He planted it with choice vines and built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out a wine vat in it. He expected it to yield grapes, but it yielded rotten grapes. And now, inhabitants of Jerusalem, people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done for it? When I expected it to yield grapes, why did it yield rotten grapes? And now I'll tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I'll remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured. I'll break down its wall, and it shall be trampled down. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the people of Judah are his cherished garden. He expected justice, but saw bloodshed, righteousness, but heard a cry. So this is kind of a heartbreaking parable of God's relationship with Israel. He called them as a chosen people. He redeemed them from slavery. He gave them a promised land and established, this watchtower of the temple in Jerusalem. And remember, God wasn't just doing this, to be nice to them. And he didn't just want a thank you, although awareness and gratitude probably would have made a difference. You plant a vineyard so that you can grow healthy fruit. Fruit that can bless others, that can be shared, that brings joy. And so here that fruit was meant to be justice and righteousness. They were meant to be a light to the nations. But instead, their produce was self-righteous exclusion and unjust religion. Rotten grapes that aren't worth eating, and if you do, it'll just make you sick. So what do you do with a rotten vineyard? Well, he says you let nature take its course. You stop tending it and just see what happens. And, if you know Israel's history, God both does and doesn't do this because, even though God is frustrated and needs change, God never truly gives up on those that God loves. So what about us? What more could God do for us? Now, there is a place for lament when life is tragic and asking where God is in that moment. But I think what it's talking about here is, what else do we need God to do for us so that we can do right by other people? Right? We already have more than enough divine grace to produce that. That's why I love the metaphor of fruit. It's here, Jesus uses it a lot, because it calls us to ask, what is growing in my heart right now? What has God planted? How am I nurturing it? And how can this spiritual fruit be a blessing, not just for me, but for all of those who need it most?